Welcome to a Telltale Books video. I'm Greg, and I'm posting this for its premiere on the birth date of author Michael Moorcock, who was born on December 16th. Not exactly sure when. Don't have my scroll with me. This will be the start of a series I've been hoping to start for well over a year, of trying to read everything I can get my hands on by Michael Moorcock. Mainly because he is a very major author, still living, still writing, has been extremely influential in the fantasy field, as well as doing some award-winning science fiction work. Editor of New Worlds magazine, and one of the primary authors of the new wave science fiction in the 1960s, 1970s. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Moorcock's first story was published in 1956, and it was titled Johnny Lonesome Comes to Town. I can't find any report of any earlier published works, or for that matter, even any fanzine stories that he published before that. Now, obviously, from the title, you can infer that this is not science fiction. It sounds like a Western, and it is. Moorcock actually does have a place of residence in Texas, and he has for a long time. He has always loved all of the old pulp adventure genres. And so it really isn't strange that his first story was a Western rather than science fiction or fantasy. So there isn't any kind of fantasy about this story. Doing this story, Johnny Lonesome Comes to Town is a little difficult to get a hold of. I found it in this book, Tales from the Texas Woods, published by Mojo Press in 1997, I believe. And it's now out of print. I got a hold of a really nice used copy online. And I'm not aware of the story being available anywhere else. You can only find it in this book. And of course, there's a lot of other Western stories by Moorcock. Now, of course, I am not someone who normally reads Westerns. This is actually, if you don't count movies and TV shows, this is the very first Western I have ever experienced. I do have plans to try some classic Western pulp adventures by Zane Grey, but this is my first. This is my initiation into the Western genre, as well as my initiation into Michael Moorcock. I have to admit, I have not previously, that I can remember, read any stories by Michael Moorcock. This is my first one. And so I'm looking, and that's another big part of why I wanted to do this series, is to investigate someone who has been so instrumental in the growth of science fiction since 1960. So, Johnny Lonesome Comes to Town. The story, of course, Johnny Lonesome comes into town. He is kind of a Lone Ranger type cowboy, goes from town to town looking for something to do. stays on the right side of the law. So he comes into town. He's got a cut or something. I can't remember what it was, but he visits the doctor in town. Oh no, now I remember. He brought medicine to the doctor because there's been an outbreak of typhoid fever in this town. So he brought the medicine that the doctor needed, and so he dropped it off at the doctor. And the doctor gives him a clue as to where the typhoid is coming from. So Johnny Lonesome goes and pursues that, questions some other people, ultimately finds the guy responsible, and tries to bring him in because, of course, he's like Typhoid Mary. He's spreading the fever. But they get captured by an Apache band. Okay. I feel like I should be wearing a 10-gallon hat and cowboy boots and speaking in a drawl, because this story, I mean, it's very much Western, very much the people talk like that. I mean, let me see if I can find a little of the text. Here it is. "Howdy, Johnny," he grinned. "It's been a long time." Lonesome gripped the big fist. "Too long," he smiled back. "How are things in your territory, Bart?" The sheriff pointed a thumb towards the 2 iron-barred cells behind him. "Bad, Johnny. Apache outbreaks all over the country." Cells were occupied by 3 scowling Apache braves, still in war paint. "War ants again?" "Yep. He says white men have been stealing his hosses and wants revenge." Moorcock does a really good job, but he comes across, I don't know if he did this intentionally, but it comes across kind of like he's not too serious about this, like he's just having fun with this genre and with this story. Or maybe it's just because it is his first professional sale that he was still kind of amateur, because it does feel kind of amateur. I'm hoping that when I get into other Westerns, they'll be better written than this. It's just a short story. All the rest of the stories in this book are from the 1990s, so I am looking forward to getting to the rest, but I'm going in order of publication, so I got 3 decades to get through before I read any more Tales from the Texas Woods. But it was fun, but definitely not great. And if you can't find this book anywhere, well, you won't be missing anything if you can't read that story. You will be missing a really, really awesome book cover. I mean, beautiful wraparound illustration, very well designed. I love this book. Extremely impressive. So that's it for Johnny Lonesome Comes to Town, my first Michael Moorcock, and I'll be moving on to some other things. There's some fantasy stories come up next, a series about Sajan or Sajan, something like that. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to those, and I hope you are too, and I hope you'll come back and join me for more Michael Moorcock. Till then, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and come on back for all the other authors that I've been going through. And I'll be here doing them.